Welcome to day 2 of SNIA India Storage Developer Conference. Again, excited to have met many of you yesterday. Look forward to many more great conversations today and learning even more about the latest in storage technology. We have an exciting lineup today. And I wanted to kick off the morning with a few thoughts and continuations from yesterday. So we talked a little bit about the areas of development for SNIA, the focus areas that we have in 2018. Now, I just want to highlight a little bit in each of those specific areas, what are the specs specifically that SNIA is working and will put out as a new technology spec this year. So if I manage to get the right. Okay, we'll do without the laser pointer. We'll start with the storage management. So we have in storage management a spec called Storage Management Initiative Specification, so SMI-S as it's commonly known in the industry. We are going to publish version 1.8 this year. This is an important part for this specification. It's been around for many years. It has come to a full maturity at this point, so our anticipation with 1.8 is we will submit it to become an ISO standard, and we'll go in maintenance mode essentially for that, not necessarily looking to add new features, but support the deployments and the development on 1.8 moving forward. In data in the cloud, we have our CDMI spec 2.0 that is expected to be published this year, as well as anticipation a reference implementation 1.0, which will be made available to the members in the industry to better understand how that spec is being applied and how you can utilize it in your own deployments and take advantage of its benefits. On data security, we just recently published a data protection white paper that is available on SNIA.org for you to consume and learn more about security. It's a big year for security. I think everyone knows this Friday, so tomorrow in Europe time, already here today, is the go date for GDPR, for the Europe spec that really doesn't impact just Europe. The whole world has had to learn about it because it has an impact on any company that handles private and personal information for European citizens. How do you know who's a European citizen? You don't. So really the beauty of this thing is companies are having to go look hard at their privacy policies and how they store, protect, and handle personal data. The TLS spec 1.1 is expected this year. This is important specification utilized in various aspects of storage management and storage access. On the data management front, the LTFS, believe it or not, yes, tape is still being used, and it is being used in some interesting places, not just for backup or for archive, but it's still one of the major methods by which cloud onboarding occurs today when you're looking at massive amounts of data. On the physical storage front, a lot of activity in the space on the solid-state performance test. We're having these new, faster, smarter medias. How do you actually, as an end user, or even as a vendor, differentiate yourself or prove that your solution is faster? Because these medias are very different than the traditional spinning disk, you have to do certain things in a consistent manner in order to get the true live performance that a customer or an application is going to experience. So that's what that particular spec, including some work around workloads and other things are happening in that area. The object drive key value API spec is also expected. Again, this is a growing area of interest for a variety of different reasons, including how much data that's being created by IoT in general, and how do you categorize and organize these things so you can become more efficient and know when you're doing access that you're reaching out and touching the right data instead of touching everything, further exacerbating your big data problem. SFF, I'll touch base in a second a little bit more specifically. I wanted to highlight that group because it's a very interesting and important one. And then I touched base already on the real workload spec for data center storage. Persistent memory, again, this is an amazing, amazing area. It will create new companies and new industries that we do not know yet or have imagined. So being close and paying attention to this particular area over the next 3 years, and in particular this year, because we're starting to tackle 2 things in this area. So persistent memory, first of all, let me just be clear, it's here today. It's been here for the last 2 years. And it's been here to the extent that it is natively supported on Windows Server 2016. It is natively supported on Linux distributions of various flavors. It is supported in VMware and other virtualization solutions. Now it's the innovation that's happening on persistent memory to the next. How do you take it out of the box? So persistent memory over fabrics is one of the items that we're looking at this year. This will enable new ideas and way of disaggregating storage and storage, memory, or persistent memory in this case, and your compute. It opens up a whole new way of thinking and architecting your systems and solutions. And it's becoming very critical for application developers because now the future is, even in a VM environment, your application inside a VM will have access to persistent memory directly. At that point, it becomes critical for your application developers to understand that programming model for persistent memory so that you are taking advantage of that and get all the benefits in terms of the performance, latency. And we'll talk later this afternoon, a little bit of an overview session on persistent memory and why it's critical. As with any new technology, we have a threat model that we're looking at. Security is important, and we're looking at security from beginning as part of the architecture of these specs and technology, rather than thinking about it later. We're thinking about it from the foundation and the very beginning. Power and efficiency, we've got tremendous work that happens from SNIA Emerald program, and wide adoption globally by various government agencies that utilize this spec as the fundamental basis for how they measure and benchmark power efficiency. The next generation data center, we already had presentations yesterday on Swordfish, so I won't spend any more time on that, but it's a critical and absolutely important spec on how we become more efficient in managing storage as the capacity and demands for the storage environments in the IT industry continues to expand. So with that, wanted to, I think I may have paused for some reason. Can we move forward one slide, please? Forward, not backwards. So just while this is, I wanted to give you a visual of SNIA celebrated 20 years of existence last year. This is to give you just a quick summary snapshot of all the technology specification that SNIA has developed over the last 20 years. A lot of things published on SNIA. Please use those resources wisely. A lot of time and energy has gone into those specifications that continue to be at the foundation of storage solutions today and tomorrow. Next slide, please. Wanted to just put the seed in your mind that SNIA has this infrastructure in place through which you get from idea to an international standard in a relatively short period of time, because we have established processes and relationships by which a small group of people that either have a new idea or want to take an old technology standard that they've developed, a proprietary one, and want to make it become open for the whole industry to innovate and build on. Then you can utilize SNIA by just submitting your ideas or request, bring a couple of companies together that are interested in doing this. You too can be the future author of an international standard that will live for many years to come. Next slide, please. The SFF group I mentioned, I promised you that I'd highlight a little bit more what they do. So this is a group that joined SNIA a little over 2 years ago. They focus on connector, transceivers, form factors. They currently have 17 different projects active in specifications. You normally might think of a standards organization and body as slow, political, etc. This is not SNIA. SNIA is extremely dynamic. One of the specs on Swordfish that I mentioned earlier, from beginning of decision to begin that spec until we published 1.0 was 8 months. 8 months for a new spec and a new way of managing storage that will be fundamental to all storage architectures over the next decade. This group in particular moves even faster. They have a track record of developing and putting out new specification as little as 3 months. From beginning to end, publishing a new spec on either a connector or a form factor. There's significant projects here, including from Intel, the HDSFF, that have been submitted and are now being worked in here in terms of the connectors and the form factors. From others, from the Gen Z side, those familiar with that, again, the connector for that is being looked to be standardized as part of this group. Presently, there's 50 companies that are members of this group and growing fast. There were about 38 companies a year ago, and they're now already 50, accelerating pace, critical work that's being done of future products that you will see and live in the data centers already this year. Last, wanted to encourage you, join the community. We talked yesterday about how important it is to collaborate and work together. If we do that, we're able to accelerate the development of new technologies, not just for the technology spec itself, because there's a cycle of education as well that needs to occur on new technology, getting new developers knowledgeable to be able to further develop the technology itself, and education with the end users as well on how to use the technology, why it's important, where it's beneficial, what are the use cases where they can apply it and get an advantage in their own business, a competitive advantage through the use of these technologies. So towards that, there's a lot of innovation in the community. One of the things that we did last year that I want to make everyone aware of, we created a new startup membership category in SNIA. We recognize that startups are strapped for cash. That's the nature of a startup. But we wanted to kind of eliminate that hurdle for the startups. So for companies that have been in business for 4 years or less, and they have less than 10 million in revenue, they're able to join SNIA. And once they join SNIA, they will be able to stay at that category for at least 3 years of membership unless they exceed the revenue, in which welcome to success, I would say, to those companies. But this brings the energy that startups have. They're innovative. They're by their nature, they're working on new and exciting things. And I love feeling that energy inside SNIA. I love giving an opportunity to those companies to talk about what they're doing new, the future technologies that they're bringing to storage. And it gives an opportunity as well to the world to get to know them and collaborate with them. The other, I encourage you to join SNIA India. This is the local chapter of SNIA that looks after and brings forward the knowledge and insight of the local markets and needs of the storage developer community and the industry here in India. It's fundamental that you get involved with this group. We will hear a little bit more about what those opportunities are, but I wanted to make this challenge to you. If you're in this room today and your company is not a member of SNIA India, please join. I challenge you over the next 30 days, any company that is not a member of SNIA India and joins in the next 30 days, your first year membership will be discounted by 50% for you to get to know and experience SNIA India and the value that you can get out of it and you can provide back in return. So please take me up on this offer. I'd love to hear that there are at least 10 more companies that have joined in the next month SNIA India, and look forward to seeing you up on stage presenting next year. In terms of contact, please utilize membership at SNIA.org for both memberships and SNIA global activities and technical work, as well as SNIA India. We'll handle getting you to the right contact. You don't have to worry about that. So, reminder, if you need to take back to your company the 3 reasons, top reasons on why to join SNIA, you have them here. And now I'd like to invite Udain to give you a little bit more precise on SNIA India. Again, what are the key activities and why to join?